Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. It's my first time posting here. My name's Brooke and I have my own business called MCS Motorcycles, and the reason for this channel is to document what I get up to, all the jobs that I'm doing, go through the processes, go through the spraying, colours and the brief of the project. Currently I'm working on a few projects that I wanted to start and show you how everything works and my process. I've been running MCS Motorcycles for about 10 years now. I think I started in 2014 just as a hobby. Still continues to be a hobby. I still work full time, but the hobby's turned into a business. People come to me. There's not a lot of spray painters that paint bikes here, so it's a niche market, but I love what I do. So I just said I wanted to show you around, show you my workshop and my setup and a couple of the projects we've got going on at the moment. All right guys, so this is my workshop. As you can see, nothing crazy. It's just a shed. The shed's probably a 3-car shed. I built my own spray booth, got my own tools and equipment, running my compressor. I'll show you the spray booth. We made this ourselves. Me and my dad, we bought a cool room, added a window. The booth is only probably 3.5 meters by 4 meters. My dad wired up all the lights. We've got filtration in the roof. Currently working on getting the these slides in to put a rack up. So that's my filter there. Got my airline, everything. It does the job. It's a pretty good setup. I'm happy with it, especially for motorbikes. It does the job in that regard. So a few of the projects that we're currently working on is I'm working on this Harley Davidson, which is going to be cobalt blue. It's a diner. I've already got this stuff back and it's in primer. The tank needed blasting, so that's been sandblasted, and I had a couple of dents on it that I've been repairing. The rear guard was brand new, so that didn't need any repair. The front guard was fine, so I just rubbed it back and put some primer on. The insides have been painted in satin black to give that sort of factory finish. This rear guard's also been painted satin black on the inside, as you can see. So when I paint these, I'll just, I won't mask up the bottoms, I'll just paint them and then let any overspray go underneath, so it gives it that sort of factory look. So today, what I'm going to be working on is this CBX. So this one was one of the white ones with the blue striping. The tailpiece is different, the front guard is different. It's going to be retrofit on a different frame, same motor. So I'm going to go through the process with this. I'm going to sand it down and get it in paint today. First step is I got to paint it in pearl white and then clear it, rub it all back, decals on, blue stripe through the center, well, a very dark blue stripe, almost black through the center, same on the tailpiece. A couple of other things that I do when I'm in my free time. These fridges are all mine, so I do like to restore fridges. I also have a 1947 WL Harley Davidson that I'm restoring, which I'm going to do videos on as well to show you guys the process, the paint job, and everything in between of me putting it together. So, and there's a couple of other jobs on the go in the background here, which I'm going to show at a later date. There's a project here which I did for a family member for Christmas a couple of years ago. I painted this fridge, so still painted on. As you can tell, they're English, so I did a full restoration on this fridge. I also did the inside as well. I don't know how dusty it is, but there you go. Doesn't look too bad. So I went through the whole process of restoring this and making it nice. It still runs and works. So that was a really cool gift that I was able to do for somebody. So, but I've got others to do for myself, which I will also show and go through with you guys so you can see exactly what I get up to. So for now, I'm going to switch over and show you guys my sanding and the grits and everything that I'm going to use today to get this one sanded and ready for paint. So here we are. I'm going to start sanding this tank first. It's had a small repair on the front, nothing major, just a small dent, a couple of little spots here and there and everywhere, but nothing major. I usually like to start off with my tanks with 240 grit on the orbital sander. That's the best thing for me, rubbing the primer. So I've got my electric sander here. I really like using this Merkur one. It's fully electric. It's got some vacuum on it, which is a bit of a dodgy tape at the moment, but that's okay. So I start with 240 disc. I tend to like to use 3M disc. 3Ms are the best. They last forever. You can go and go and go and go. After I do my 240, I'm going to change over and do probably 400 and then even 500, depends. I can usually finish with 400 as long as you use an interface pad, which I have one here somewhere. Here we go. So interface pad, put that on. This thing here, it's got like a little foam. It's about 10 mil, I think this one is. It's a 10 mil foam pad that you put on your sander, and then you put your sandpaper on top. And also in between coats, in between sanding, I usually use a thing called guide coat. So after I do my 240, I put down this guide coat. It's like a black, I'll put some on a tape here so you can have a look. So I put this black guide coat on. That just shows up any scratches from your 240, and then you can use your interface pad and your 400 grit to really knock out those scratches. Especially when you're painting silvers, it'll show up. If you don't do that, it'll really show up and your paint job will look shit. I'm doing pearl white today, so I've got it's a little bit forgiving because the white will cover so well, and the white tends to, because it's such a solid color and not a straight metallic at first, it'll cover a lot of my scratches, so I can get away with it. 3-layer pearl is a little bit different. I'll explain as I go, but usually what happens is with 3-layer pearls is that you'll put down your white base, you'll let that dry, get full coverage on all your parts, and then you'll put 2 to 3 coats depending on what sort of level of sparkle you want of your pearl on top, and then you'll clear it, and that's how you get your pearl white. So I'll go through that very shortly after I finish sanding everything, and then we'll get on to doing that. Alright guys, so as you can see, I've sanded everything with 240 so far. You probably saw me using this little pad in the meantime. This is 240 to 320. I just use these to do any of the edges and things like that. I actually use these to do the inside of the tank. I'm not going to do any finer on the inside of the tank. You could if you wanted to, but I'm not going to, just because you never see it. It's just, I like it to look nice in there and be all the same color. So I always tend to paint underneath, but I just do a quick one. People usually aren't too fussed. As long as it's got paint on it and it looks nice, then they're happy. I know a lot of painters won't do that when they do motorbikes. They'll just do the outsides and maybe blow a little bit on the edges, but I like to do the whole lot and clear underneath so it all looks good. So this tail piece here was actually an aftermarket part. It wasn't original, so I've actually found a few pinholes and stuff like that on it that I'm going to need to fill. There's a little bit, I don't know if you can see that just on the bottom there. They're little pinholes and they're going to need to be filled up with a little bit of bog, as you can see there. It's just because the plastic, sometimes it's new, it's porous, and when whatever coating they put on it, it leaves all these pinholes everywhere. So I'm going to try and fill them up in a sec with a little bit of fine filled bog. And then the rest of the stuff, the side covers come up pretty good. They really needed a hard sand. As you can see, I've got a lot of rub throughs on it. It happens a lot. What I'll do just before I paint and after I do my 400 grit is I'll put some rub through primer on there. I'll explain the rub through primer and I'll show you the ones that I use. But for now, I'm going to use my 400 grit with my interface pad that I explained earlier. So I'm going to use my guide coat, which I explained also. I'll show you how this works. So I just give a little bit of a shake, then I got the pad like this, and then I just put it on everywhere. So this is just an example for you, just quickly. All right, so my guide coat's on. So now, as you can see, I don't know if you can see right there, there's a few little fine swirly marks in that corner, just right here. There's a little I don't know if you can see it, you can see the swirls. So my aim is to get those out using the interface pad. With a hard pad, you can't really use it on a hard pad. You need to use the interface pad because it's softer. With the hard pad, the issues you have is when you go over your edges and stuff, it squares it out. So to get that fine rounded finish, you really want to use your interface pad. Same with these as well. Like you get your rounded finish, you can go over your edges and get a bit of rounded finish as opposed to a square one that you're getting with the flat orbital. So I always finish off with that. I have got different grades. This one's you know, a bit coarser, but I've got other ones. I've got 3M ones that are ultra fine. I can't remember the grade of these. I'd have to check the box. But these ones I think maybe might be 400 or 600 or something like that. And then I've got 800 here as well. So I just go through that at the end after I do my orbital, and then I'll go and do that. So I'm going to run through and do everything, guide coat everything, and run the orbital with 400 over everything, and then I'll explain a little bit more about what I'm doing. All right, so we're back. Now we're gonna have a look at this tailpiece. I actually just got the blower onto it and blew out some of these spots. So get into focus, come on. There you go. So you can sort of see there's some holes in here. So what I'm gonna do is I'm actually gonna use a bit of U-Pol Dolphin Glaze. This stuff is really good. It dries really, really thin. It's easy to rub. You can usually rub this with 240 straight away. So I'm just going to mix some bog up. Usually they say potato to a pea is roughly the mixing ratio. I think that's kind of potato and 2 peas maybe, or something like that. So I'm just going to fill that up. I'm going to rub it with 240, and then we'll see how we go. We'll see. I might even need to primer again with some 2-pack primer, because it is like it's quite all over and I don't want to miss anything. So after I've filled the holes, I'll have a little look and see what I think. All right, after looking at that part, it's definitely going to need to be 2-pack primed again. There's a lot of holes on there. The primer will fill up a lot of the pinholes as well. So I think with another primer, good primer, it should come up pretty nice. So for today, I'm going to leave that one, and we're going to work on the other parts. So I've all the other parts are pretty much ready to go. I've put them in the booth. They're on their rack. All I've got to do now is give them a quick clean and then use some of the rub through primer. So this is on their rack there. So as you can see, some of the parts like this here, this line here will need to have some primer on it, rub through primer. Same with this one, and then these all, like these bare metal ones here, will all need rub through primer. Same with the plastics. I'll spray rub through primer on those. I'll do a video and a time lapse of me doing all that. So the stuff that I like to use, I'll just give you a rundown. So I got a couple of ones that I use. There's a PPG one that's a rub through primer. They come in different shades. This is G5, so it's sort of like your mid-range color. They go lighter or darker depending on what color you're going to spray. I'm just going to put this down. I've also got another one here, a spot primer, which is the same thing. It's a rub through primer, but this one's a bit darker. So this one's a De Beer one. I quite like this one. I think this one's pretty good, but I won't use this one today because it's just too dark, especially going over white. I do have a couple of other things, but I tend to just use the PPG one because I think that's probably the best. After I spray this, I let it dry for 5 or 10 minutes, and then I'll use some of my soft pad paper in a really fine grey and just knock off the top for any like nibs or anything. But generally it's not hard to rub and it rubs through quite easily, so you just got to be really careful. So I'll show you that now, and then yeah, we can get ready to get painting. Alright, so I'm just going to do a quick clean. Got wax and grease remover in here, and I'm just going to go over all the parts, give them a really good clean, really good wipe before I put the primer on. Alright guys, so we're back. I just finished putting on some primer on that tailpiece that needed some 2-pack primer. I ended up using a wet on wet, so I actually put wet on wet on all of it because I thought, why not, you know, while I'm there, got it in the gun, I might as well. So now we're here and we're going to mix up our colours. So we're going to do white first, and then we're going to do the pearl on top. So the mixing ratio of these are 1:1. So you've got 50% colour, 50% thinner. So that's our white there. So this was picked by the customer, this colour. So that's the base that's going down. So I'm just going to measure that out at 1:1. We're not going to mix up too much, just in case I don't use it all. I can always come back up and mix more. So that's the white. And the pearl. This is the pearl colour. It's quite a nice colour. It's got a blue pearl in it, as you can see. It's a really nice colour. That should look really good once it's on. So this isn't the original colour. This is a custom mix. The original colour was pearl white, but just going to change it up a little bit because the pearl white that was on it was a bit yellow, so we thought we'd go with something that was a bit nicer, a bit bluer, a bit more suiting to the bike, considering we're going, we've got the blue decals to go on. So leave them there. A thinner here. So I'm just using the side of the cup to get my mixing ratios. So it's about there. And this one, I always think my white's a little bit less, so you're meant to be 50-50, but I'd say I'd probably do 50-40, just because white doesn't cover very well. So I just make it a little bit thicker so I can get a little bit more coverage, a little bit more quicker. So, go. My pearl. My white. You can see the pearl is quite thin now. See, it's thin, so it's transparent, so that'll go over the top of the white and give it a really nice sparkle. So that's that one. And then we've got our white, which is still pretty thick, but that's because I've thinned it down 40% rather than 50. Especially with base coat. If this was 2-pack, straight colour, with hardness straight in the colour and gloss off the gun, you would get a lot more coverage. But being that it's base coat, you just struggle to get coverage. So we'll see how we go. This product that I use, this paint is pretty good. So we'll see how we go. I'm just going to fill up my gun with the white, and then I'm going to suit up, get my respirator on, get everything going, and then we'll get in the booth and start painting. So my wet on wet should be all dry now, ready to go. I'll just have a look over it, just in case there's any little nibs that I need to just knock off with a bit of 800. And then we'll get painting. Alright, before we start, I'm just about to put the pearl coat on. I've done a couple of coats of white. It actually covered really well just because I used the wet on wet to begin with. I'm not going to show you every coat that I put on at the pearl, but I'm probably going to put on 3 coats, I reckon. That should give it enough sparkle in the sun. But I'll come back to you when I'm about to put clear on, because you won't really see the pearl right now until I put the clear on. Then I'll be able to show you exactly how it's going to look. So for now, just bear with me. I'm going to put a coat on for you so you can see, and then we'll get you clear. Alright, we've just done a pearl coat. I ended up putting just 2 coats on because it actually covered really well and gave a lot of sparkle, so it was actually a really nice pearl. It's got a lot of metallic, a lot of flake in there, and it's really vibrant, so I'm pretty happy with the colour. It's quite blue. I didn't want to go too crazy, but it does look really nice. So now we're going to mix up our clear. I use an MS clear. This one says HS, but the hardener is MS. So I really like using this clear because it's quite thick, but it's easy to polish, and that's our biggest thing. Is that every job that comes through here, I like to block back nice and flat, and then give it a polish. So with the HS, it's a lot more work, and it's a lot thicker. So with your MS, this one's a pretty good product. It's 2-to-1 mix, and it's a full cup today. Got quite a lot. I usually don't thin my clear down too much, maybe 5%. I like to put it on quite thick. Some days I'll paint it 10% thinner, depends on the day really. Today the weather, I mean in the booth it says it's 29.4 at the moment, so it's a warmer day today. So I might just thin it out a little bit because I know it's going to dry quick, so I might just give it the 10%. And then after you see me put this on, you can really see the pearl come through, so I'll do a full walk around once I put the clear on so you can see. Now we'll see how many coats of clear I put on. Sometimes I do 3, usually 2. Probably do 2 today, only because I'm going to have to rub every single part back to put the decals on. So I'm going to probably just do 2 coats, get some clear on, and then I'm going to have to be rubbing it back anyway. So I'm not going to leave it as a finish. It's not a show finish yet, so but it will be at the end. So I'm just going to put my clear in my gun, and then we're ready to go. Right, so we've just finished painting. I'm going to take you through and show you the final finish. Alright, well that's it from me for the day. I'm going to let this stuff dry. I'll probably come back tomorrow, pick it up, get it ready, start to rub it with 800 and then put decals on. But I'll come back for another video when I'm putting the decals on the final clear, and also possibly it fitted to the bike as well, so you guys can see the whole thing. But thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.